Welcome to CATV. My name is Katie Cole. Today we are interviewing Rebecca Gordon, the co-author of Now I Believe You, a book she wrote with her soul sister about an out-of-body experience. Welcome, Rebecca.
Hi, how are you?
I'm well, how are you?
Good.
I'm really glad that you're here today. Very
Me too.
excited.
Me too.
So, how did this book come to fruition?
Well, I've been, a couple of years ago, actually it's been about 3 years now, I moved back to New Hampshire from North Carolina, and I've been doing a lot of spiritual awakening and having a lot of spiritual things going on in my life. And I've been wanting to write a book, and I didn't know what to write about. And I've been asking, my higher self what I should write about. And I woke up in the middle of the night in the winter. It was moved back to Claremont, and I just had this vision that I remembered when Darlene, my best friend, had this near-death experience that we never believed her for all these years, 40-something years ago. And I was reading a lot about it and reading other people's experiences, and that I think that she should be telling this story because it's starting to come out. People are believing it now. People are waking up, and it's really starting to be more popular, and I think people need to know what she went through. Not knowing how much she went through, actually, when I even dreamed of it. So the next day I called her, and she wasn't real receptive of it. She says, I don't think that'll go. I don't think anybody would believe me. I don't know how to write. And so I said, well, I will do it with you. We'll write it together, She says, because I can't do it by myself. I said, okay, so we'll write it together, and we'll talk about our growing up and how it's affected us. And she said, okay. So then she started writing it and kept sending me emails. She lives in Florida, and I'm in New Hampshire, so it's quite hard to write a book together.
Right.
And then she kept sending me these, pages after pages of what she was writing, and I couldn't believe what I was reading, and I was freaking out because I said, oh my God, this is more than I even dreamed, She says, and the more that I write it, the more it comes back to me. I'm really vividly comes back more and more each time. So it was really good. So I made several trips to Florida, and we wrote together. We sat down for hours. It took us 2 years to complete.
Wow.
And I hired Balboa Press to help edit it for us because I wasn't sure. First time I've written a book. And I came up with the idea since I started also painting since I moved home. I learned how to paint, and I am a Bob Ross certified paint instructor. So I painted the picture that Darlene saw when she went to heaven.
Which is also the cover.
The cover of the book.
Right.
Yep. And that's her grandmother sitting on the rock, and that's what she described to me. So that is just off the top of my head of what she saw. So that's not from anything.
Right.
That's her vision. She described it, and she said that was perfect, exactly what she saw when she got there. So she hung out with her grandmother in heaven for quite a long time. She was in a coma for 2 weeks at Dartmouth after a terrible car crash back in the 70s, and we were 20 years old, and we didn't think she was going to make it. And she remarkably came back out from this experience, and her grandmother said, you have to go back. She didn't want to. She really wanted to die, but she came back and had this story that she was telling, and in the book it describes her telling the minister, this priest that can't come into her room when she was at Dartmouth, and didn't even believe it, what she was telling him. She couldn't believe that a minister would say, oh, that was just a dream or something.
Right.
So this has really kind of cut her off of telling the story more, and she would come out and tell me once in a while, but she didn't think I would believe it back when we were kids, we were younger. And so anyway, now it's out, and I'm glad, and I just would hope that a lot of people would like to read it. And I do have an excerpt if you want me to read.
Yeah, absolutely. That'd be great.
This is chapter 3. It was on Memorial Day, May 28th in '78, and her car crash. And this is Darlene's chapter. We each have chapters that we kind of wrote about. So, it was on Memorial Day, May 28th in '78, and her car crash. And this is Darlene's chapter. We each have chapters that we kind of wrote about. So, it was on Memorial Day, May 28th in '78, and her car crash. And this is Darlene's chapter. We each have chapters that we kind of wrote about. So, she says, "Wow, that was a bad car accident. As I looked upon a small car that hung precariously on the stream embankment. The car was a four-door yellow 1976 Fiat. It sat half in and half out of the small stream that flowed around a bend under the road. The front end of the car was smashed in and the back window was missing. The condition of the car reminded me of a handful of aluminum foil crumpled into a ball and ready to be thrown away. I said to myself, I hope everyone is okay. From the perch where I was sitting, I noticed two young men. One was lying near the rear of the car on the furthest embankment of the stream and was in the throes of hysterical laughter. Why is he laughing, I thought. It was an unnatural sound for someone to be laughing in the aftermath of a horrific car accident. It seemed to me that he was completely out of control. I found out later that he was in the middle of a diabetic seizure and that he always laughed uncontrollably when experiencing one of them. The other young man was frantically darting in and out of the stream yelling, "My baby, my baby." He'd lost his baby. Watching this nightmarish scenario unfold before my eyes, all I could think was, this is not going to turn out well. So this is when she had her experience, and she was out of body at that time. So and she was underwater in mud for quite a while before the EMTs came and resuscitated her.
And
so.
she doesn't remember the car crash at all, just her out-of-body experience?
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah, and it was pretty severe, and we thought we lost her, but, you know, she was in a coma for a long time, too, so, and then she had to relearn how to walk and talk and do everything again, you know, so it was quite an experience. Then she also wasn't supposed to have children, and she had a daughter a year later who also had a car crash when she was 19 and passed away, so she's been through a lot.
And her daughter was very in tune with the spiritual world as well.
Yes.
She predicted her own death, correct?
Yes, she did,
right.
As it says in the book. And since then, Darlene has become more and more intuitive. She is almost psychic now. She's feeling like she can see spirit, and she really is intuitive. And she's trying to figure it out, which is our next book, part of our next book. We all have started one. And hopefully, that one will be another year probably in the making, but it is off of this book. And it's more about spirituality and how it's affected us and, you know, how her daughter's death has affected us. And yeah.
Right. So how was the actual process of co-authoring? Was it difficult? Did you fight? Was it seamless? How did it really go?
We work together easily. We feed off each other. So when we're sitting there writing it, it's just almost like we just talk and it just comes off each other naturally. It's amazing. Yeah, no, we really get along well and we agreed on everything. I think Balboa Press really helped us. They're excellent and they are pricey, but they do a really good job of editing and helping us with that. But we did, you know, no, it was easy.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Was there anything major or secretive that you edited out of the book or kept from the book that you didn't want your readers to know?
There was a little more about us growing up that we probably shouldn't have talked about.
Right.
And then we had one whole chapter that we went off on that the editor thought we shouldn't even add, which could go in the later book, but wasn't pertinent right to what, we tried to stick to what we were talking about, you know, and we get off a little bit sometimes, but that's part of learning.
Right, absolutely.
Yeah.
So can you talk about your recent spiritual awakening and how you are now a believer?
I think it's finding Hay House Radio, and Hay House has really changed my life with all the authors. I listen to all the spiritual teachers from that, and I work for the visiting nurse, so I listen to that all day long on my car, and it really has changed my life. I've started meditating, more meditation and yoga, and I started painting. All these things are starting to manifest that I don't believe I could even do. So now I'm teaching painting classes. I've got my own business starting that.
Wow.
And so it's really, my life has changed from just all this learning.
And do you think it's just from being open to it, just being receptive?
I think so, yeah, and just wanting to find my own path and, you know, what I'm here to do on earth. And you know, I think I found it. I'm really happy. Things are working out for me.
Absolutely.
So.
So
Yeah.
you talked about your next book. Are there more books to come in the future, or do you think this next book
Oh,
is going to be your
no,
last?
I think we both want to write now that we've experienced this first one. It's exciting, so I'd love to do some children's books, more about spirituality. I have grandchildren, and I think that children need to know more about that as well, so yeah, there's going to be more books. But I'm working a lot, so it's hard to fit everything in, so especially the paint business, but
Of course. Well, we're very excited.
yeah.
Is there any advice that you would give aspiring authors?
Just stick with it, you know, don't give up. Just keep going at it, and if you don't stick with it all the time, you'll just put it aside and forget about it, and it's hard to just keep focused. But I think most of your intuition for your book is coming in the middle of the night, or sometimes it comes in odd hours that you don't expect, but when you get that intuition, get up and do it right then, because that's when you'll forget about it later.
Right, absolutely.
Yeah.
So what is the relationship between you and Darlene right now?
Really good. We've gotten better. It's brought us closer. Absolutely. We were apart on and off for all these years. We've been friends since we were 12. And she moved to Florida, so it's a little harder to, you know, but we're still in contact every day.
Wow.
And yeah, so it's good. We plan on getting together as much as possible, you know.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Can we just touch back on her daughter and how that experience really shaped her life? She said it really hurt her, obviously, losing a child, and it really has had her face a new bag of struggles.
It's actually, she was disabled a little bit from her car accident, and then after that, it affected her mentally, and she just couldn't focus. She's struggled with that all her life, of just even being able to work a full-time job. She's had a hard time with it. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So, you know, she's been struggling and struggling. And actually, she never even has celebrated Christmas for 16 years since she lost her daughter until we wrote this book.
Wow.
Last year, this changed her life. She finally started to celebrate Christmas again, so she's getting better.
Wow.
Yeah.
So this book was really cathartic and...
Very, for her. It really was meant to be. I don't know, for both of us. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so.
That's really wonderful.
Yeah, we're excited.
I think we are too. We're really excited. It was a wonderful book. I loved reading it.
Thank you.
The book is available at the website below.
Yeah. You can get it on Amazon. You can get it on, let's see, Kindle has it, and then the Dartmouth bookstore has it.
Thank you so much, Rebecca, for being here. We really appreciate you taking your time out of your day to interview with us.
Appreciate it so much.
Oh,
I'm
absolutely.
really excited. This is great.
Wonderful.
I want people to know more about our book, and I think the story is really what we care about people knowing. You know, there is life after death, and I think people should know that.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for tuning into our show. This is CATV, and I'm Katie Cole.